Hi, and welcome everybody to the OSGA YouTube channel. My name is Ross Benjamin of RBWins.com. Every Monday, I'm joined by my good buddy, been in the business just about along the same time, if I'm not mistaken, Doug Upstone in the beautiful state of Arizona, where the Phoenix Suns right now. Doug, I'm sure people were ecstatic for a while, and now
Yep.
they're sort of their daubers are down, but you never know.
Exactly. Yeah. No, it's been crazy here with this, as you would expect. Okay,
Yes.
so it's been a lot of fun, and as I'm sure you recall, I lived in Milwaukee then for 24 years, I think it was. So I
Wow.
got friends back there. Okay, that are telling me all this stuff. So I'm getting it kind of both ways, and I do have a preference to one team. I'm not going to tell anybody what it is because I still got a pick I got to give out tomorrow
Hey,
for
either
Tuesday's
way,
game.
somebody's going to win a championship either for the first time. I
Yeah,
mean,
well, yeah, the Bucks was 1970, or the last time
oh,
they played
that's
was
right. Yep,
74, and
yep.
71 they won it with
Lou
Alcindor
Alcindor
and
at the
Oscar,
time. Yeah,
yes, and Oscar Robertson. Yep.
yeah.
And so yeah,
Dandridge. Yeah.
Dandridge, John McLaughlin is
Now we're
another
showing
one.
our age.
Yes, exactly. Well, just
We were
it's
kids, but
oh well, no, I read about it. I don't know about you. I
yeah,
just read about it.
I, I want to say I remember, but I give my age away again.
Right.
Anyway, Doug is from DocSports.com. Great site, some really, really good handicappers, Doug being one of them. Doug, tell us a little bit about Docs and how you've been doing of late.
One of the things that Docs offers, and there's some other sites that offer something, let's just say similar, but I think Docs is a little better job of it. Is, for example, if you've never been there, you can go in and sign up, and you can get $60 of free money. Okay,
Wow.
so most of Doc's picks, or in this case, my selections, they're like $30. Okay, so if I have a baseball package, I have the NBA play for Tuesday. You can pick up both of those for absolutely nothing. Okay,
Wow.
so it's a tremendous deal from that standpoint, and it's available all the time if you've never signed up at Docs to give myself or any of the other 11 guys a free trial. So you can do that. Now, as far as me goes, I'm excited, Ross. Baseball's back. Okay. As we've talked in some past shows, I've been on a good run, and it's continued. 77-49 since May 9th. So that we're looking at going on 10 weeks, or close to it now on that run, and picked up. Now again, units vary from place to place, but in terms of the money that I'm making, over $9,000 based on units. Okay, and that's units are 1 to 7. So have that. So it's been tremendous. And like you, Ross, I'm getting fired up for football now. We got some things coming our way
Yeah.
real soon. We're heading into the latter part of July. I'm coming off a fantastic college football season. I did great for 13 weeks in the NFL last year, and then I admit it, I went down, okay, at the very end. So that was a little bit disappointing, but overall, another winning season. So it's been great, and I'm fired up. I've been working on my win totals and all this other stuff, and so I'm excited, Ross.
Yeah, well, you don't know this yet, but next Monday we're going to give out a win total in the NFL. You're going to
Beautiful.
give one, I'm going to give one, and we might make that a regular practice right up until September.
I
So,
like it.
yeah, so and not necessarily our best pick every week, but probably up there in our top five, and
Yep.
we'll give it out and we'll see where it goes. As you well know, it's not an exact science when you start getting out regular season win totals. I'm not a big futures guy, Doug. I don't know about you. I just feel like in our industry, when we're going at it every day, you give out a future and you feel like you're locked into that team and you can't fade them. Yep. So I stay away from that. I mean, is that something you like to do?
I do it.
Yeah.
I have to agree with you. I don't necessarily like it. And I tell you the number one reason that I don't like it, and especially looking at it from like the viewer standpoint of our video here, Ross, is that you got to wait till the end of the season,
Yeah.
okay, to collect if you win.
Yeah.
So I mean, if you have, let's just say you had, now we got a 17 game season this year, but if you had, let's just say you had Baltimore, I forget what they are, but I'm saying they're 10 and a half.
Yeah.
So if they get 11 and it's week 16, you got a long way to wait till you can collect some
Yeah.
cash,
Yeah.
so that's among the reasons. And the thing I find so difficult, especially in the NFL, is that a lot of people like to base their summer selections on who the teams are playing. Well, as we know, it's that who you played last year has nothing to do with how they're going to perform this year.
Right.
So you always have that volatile aspect, and that makes it that much harder to figure out, along with, of course, injuries.
Yeah, you know what I look at, Doug, and that's a good point because you're 100% right. Just because who they played last year, their strength of schedule last year, it could be totally different this year, especially in this day and age of free agency and all the roster turnover we see from year to year. I like to look at each team's regular season win total and trust the bookmaker. Okay.
Yes.
So, in other words, if Arizona is your team, you look at all the teams that Arizona are playing on the 2021 schedule and see what their current regular season win totals posted as, add up those wins, and you could pretty much figure out a strength of schedule. I put more stock in it that way than any other way. Let's put it that way. But again, there's that level of uncertainty, right? Still, even the books could be wrong on several teams as well. So, and the other thing, I talked to Jim Quinn about this a couple times because we did do a lot of the NFL regular season win totals last year, and it just seems like people want instant gratification, and it goes hand in hand with the mindset of sports gamblers, where you really have to just continually drive home the importance of money management and patience, and they lack that, a lot of them. And when you give them out an NFL regular season win total, it's like they're not interested. What do you got for me today where I could bet on now that's I'm either going to win or lose in 2 hours, right, Doug? So yeah, it's a double-edged sword.
I agree with you, Ross, on that too. And the other thing, though, that is a positive about it is that seeing now that the NBA is going to be done this week, it's certainly something else to talk about. So
Yeah,
that's a big positive until the
absolutely.
NFL preseason starts, at least.
Yeah.
So yeah, so here we go. That's up.
Yeah, here
That's
we
good.
are, July 19th, and the NBA is still not done yet. It's just,
I
it's
think that's good. Like, I think that's going to be. I don't know if it's going to be quite this late in the future, but it's going to be into July. I'm pretty confident in
yeah,
saying that. I think the regular season is going to start around the 1st of December going forward, because you've seen what the TV ratings have been, Ross.
yeah.
Now, the finals haven't been as great. That has something to do with the participants and the markets. However, the ratings have been great. So I think it's here to stay. They're going to see basketball well into June going forward. My opinion.
Yeah, well, I mean, you make a good point. I can't disagree with that. Anyway, talking of futures, Doug, I did a video the other day, me and Chip Chirimbus, and we both covered a team. Here's our thought process here. Like to look at teams that we potentially are going to look to fade in the second half of the season, and teams that we're going to look to possibly play on in the second season. Now, when we give these teams out, and Doug's included, it doesn't mean that Doug gives a team out he's going to look to play on or fade, and he's going to play that team the entire second half, not go against them or not go with them. That's not what we're saying. What we're saying is we're looking for a team that Doug, in particular, is looking for teams that maybe in his mind overachieved in the first half, and he sees them underachieving in this, not underachieving, but coming back down to earth in the second half, and a team that's underachieved that he feels that will come on strong down the stretch. I use Seattle as my team to fade, even though I had Seattle last night as a 10-star top play. Case in point, what I just said. And I use Toronto to play on because, Doug, they're 48 and 42 right now, and they haven't even played a true home game yet. So anyway, curious to hear what you have to say on the subject.
Well, first of all, Russ, I like your two picks. Is that, first of all, with Toronto, they lead Major League Baseball in home runs, and the way the game is played today, that's a big part of it. So if they can kind of get the pitching, just say squared away a little bit, I think they could make a run in that division. It's up for grabs. I mean, Boston's come back to the pack, and then Seattle. I mean, they got a winning record, but yet they're minus 50 in run differential, and I think that tends to be a clue.
Yeah.
Right there. So we'll see how that plays out, as things go. Now, my play on team, it's not a matter of fact of underachieving. It's just a matter of they just keep winning. Okay. And I don't expect that to change at all. And that's the Tampa Bay Rays. Now, Ross, we didn't talk about this before the season began, but that was one of my 3 plays on win totals. I did do a few of them, but I had on win totals because it was 85.5. Okay.
There
Now,
you go.
did they lose some pitching from last year? Yes. Did they have some more things? But when was the last time that Tampa Bay underachieved? Okay. I
Yeah.
mean, it hasn't been since they went to the World Series with Joe Madden. Was that 2006 or 7, whatever it was? This team just doesn't. And so there's the Rays way of playing baseball. So what do? They always have a smart manager. They always have a bunch of guys in the bullpen that throw 95 plus. They have good to adequate starting pitching, and they have hitters that know how to hit in the clutch. That's just what they do all the time, Ross. And it's nothing different this year. But they're a half a game out of first place as we do this video. And there's every reason in the world to think that this team is just going to keep chugging away. Boston's going to continue to come back. The Yankees don't show anything at this point of taking off. So it could be the 2 teams that we like, Toronto and Tampa Bay, that are playing for the championship of the NL East as we go along here. And I can't go against that feeling, okay, with those 2 teams. And so I'm on board with Tampa Bay to continue. And see, if you're right or I'm right, who ends up being first?
Yeah. Well, I think that Tampa Bay would be the team I would pick to win the division. I think that Toronto will come on strong in the second half. I believe they'll be a wild card team. You're right, Doug. I mean, Tampa Bay just doesn't beat themselves. They win those 1-run games, the timely hitting. And when I say that, men on base, they look like they're out of it the whole game, and then they start putting men on base and getting them home. Fundamentally sound. Very good fielding team. And like Doug touched upon, a solid bullpen, it seems like all the time. And never those big name pitchers per se. I mean, as far as their manager goes, he makes me scratch my head. I think that he sometimes over manages, Doug. And not to not to go on and on about this, but which I can. All we got to do is revert back to last year's World
Yeah.
Series. There's a reason why Blake Snell walked away from that situation. Anyway, how about a team you think that might go the opposite direction? You have anything in mind?
Well, there's actually 2 teams in specific situations that I'm actually looking at. Now, of course, Baltimore and Arizona, we know that they're going to be bad, so that they're definitely play against material. But one of the teams I'm looking at specifically is the Oakland A's, especially at home, Ross. And the reason I say that is they're only, I shouldn't say not only. First of all, they have been a great home team for years. I don't know this offhand. I would say over the last 5 years, they have the best home record in baseball. Okay. They could be second. They could be third. I don't know exactly, but they've been great this year. 28 and 24, and they're negative in run differential. So I'm looking at them as a team. This team is not as good. Okay. They're strong at the 2 corners. Their pitchers, as we have seen in the playoffs, they're good regular season pitchers. They're not great playoff pitchers. And for the most part, they've been down a little bit other than Chris Bassett this year. I just don't think this team is as good. And they're still getting on a regular basis a pretty hefty line at home. So I'm looking to play against them at home. The other team I'm looking at on the road is this one is, and I don't know if you can see it. I got a Chicago Cubs poster behind me here.
Yeah.
Well, that's the team I'm going to say to play against when they go on the road. They're 18 and 30 on the road. They're being outscored by 1 run per game, and there's only 5 teams that are worse than that in Major League Baseball. So anytime the Cubs are on the road, Oakland's at home, I'm looking to fade those teams on a regular basis, Ross.
Yeah, and especially when you hear all the talk that they're on the verge of getting rid of
Oh,
Baez at the deadline, or getting on the verge of getting rid of Rizzo. I always like Rizzo. I know he's not hitting well this year, but I think he's a solid first baseman and a really good team player. But yeah, I can't disagree. I mean, they're Jekyll and Hyde. What are they, like 13 games over 500 at home, right?
at home,
Lately?
right? Yep.
Yeah.
And
So
no comparison. Yeah. And to your point on Rizzo, and not everybody knows this. Not only is he a solid guy, in terms of a teammate. He had testicular cancer at a young age, and he fought it, he beat it. And I don't know if he gives the most. He gives as much money as any major league player to cancer research. Okay. So I don't care if he hit 190. I'm never going to say a bad thing about Anthony Rizzo.
Humble kid. There's no two ways about it.
Yep.
That takes us to our free pick. Now we're recording on Monday, the 19th of July, folks. The two picks we're going to give you in Major League Baseball are on Tuesday, July 20th card. So keep in mind the lines we use right now. They're the lines that, as we speak, as we're recording, are subject to change depending on when you view the video. So, Doug, I'll let you take it away. What's your free
Okay,
pick?
well, let's start off with the Cincinnati Reds. And we're looking at the Reds because they had an opportunity to really narrow the gap in the NL Central against Milwaukee. And what did they do at home? They got swept. Okay, so that doubled the Brewers' lead over the Reds. So now they have to play catch up. I think they're four, as we talk, they're 4 games out of the last wild card spot. And to be honest with you, Ross, I can't see them catching San Diego. I don't think they're even close to as good a team as San Diego. So I think they're going to be home for the playoffs. This was kind of their opportunity. But for Tuesday night, that's another story altogether. And why do I say that? Well, they're playing the New York Mets. When the Mets are in first place, and the Mets are in first place only because everybody else in that division stinks also. Okay, so that's a big part of it. They're going to pitch Wade Miley. Now, for those that don't know, Wade Miley was essentially he wasn't ever out of baseball, but he was essentially, it was just literally within a month or two. And he ended up talking to a pitching coach on the team I was with Baltimore, because his stuff is really ordinary. Okay, I think most people know that.
Always has been. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. His entire career, it was ordinary. So a pitching coach told him, you know what, you ought to really, in the offseason, work on a cutter. He goes, your stuff's not, more or less said, your stuff's not that great. But he goes, with your arm action, you work on a cutter, you could stick it around and, cash some more checks in the big leagues. So he did. And in the last 4 years, Ross, since he came up with that cutter, he's 26-15 in terms of his record. He has an ERA of 3.70, and on every team he's been on since, okay, including Cincinnati now, he's the 4 starter. So if you have a 4 starter that's 26-15 with a 3.70 ERA, you got a chance to win a lot of games going up against, in a lot of cases, a number 3 to 5 starter. Okay, so a good situation there. The Reds opened at -140. Miley, on the teams he's pitched for in the last several years, is 14-2 when a favorite of -125 to 175, and going up against the Mets offense, or lack of offense, ranked 29th in baseball. When they face a left-handed pitcher, their offense plummets from 3.8 runs per game to 2.8 runs per game. 1 full run less. I'm on Cincinnati, Ross, for my free play on your show.
Very good, Doug. It all makes sense to me. And, here's the thing with me. Cincinnati is one of those teams I can't catch a break on. As good a baseball season as I'm having, we all do that, right, Doug? We have a team that's our jinx team. I mean, they were on a 7-2 run. I had them twice, and both times they lost on a 7-2 run. Both times they had the lead. Both times their bullpen fell apart. Again, I had the under on them on Saturday against Milwaukee. Again, 3-3 going into extra innings, and lo and behold, it ends up like 19-17 or whatever. I'm being exaggerative.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, I like your pick. You're not going to get me to go anywhere near Cincinnati against them or on them for at least another week until my emotions calm down, because sometimes you get so pissed off, you want to go against a team that screwed you, or you think they owe you and you keep chasing them in. And I'm not going to fall into that trap. I learned a long time ago not to do that. Doug, I'm going to take a look at talk about that terrible division, the NL East. A game between the Philadelphia Phillies and the New York Yankees at Yankee Stadium on Tuesday, 7:05 p.m. Eastern time. Aaron Nola, the right-hander, the ace of the Philadelphia staff, and he's going to be opposed by the Yankees' Domingo Germán. and Herman is really struggling right now. As we speak, Philadelphia, by the way, is a 115 road favorite. Who would have thought that at the beginning of the year, how bad the Phillies have been, Doug, over the past few years on the road, that we'd be talking about a game in mid-July in which Philadelphia is a favorite at Yankee Stadium. But so that should tell you something in itself. Domingo Herman, I mentioned he's struggling right now. His last 4 starts, Doug, a 9.98 ERA and a 2.09 WHIP. That's not very good, folks. And even more so is he's lasted 4.3 innings or 4 1/3 innings pitched or less per start during that 4-game stretch. So, in the Yankees, right now, they're a mash unit. They have 14 guys on the injured list, another one that's questionable, 2 guys out for the year. That's 17 guys, that they started the year with that are no longer available to play. Some with COVID precautions or protocols, I should say. The others are injured. And, Doug, there's only 26 guys on a roster, 17 are out. So you're playing with a lot of AAA players or second line players. And yes, they're coming off 2 wins against Boston. Even more so, I want to fade the Yankees because of that, because usually they'll come off a Boston series, especially when they had success, and they're in for a mental letdown. And I know I don't put a lot of stock in that in baseball, but certain rivalries I do, and that's one of them. And on top of that, Nola has struggled the last 2 starts, no doubt about it. However, Doug, he hasn't lost the ability to strike out guys. And to me, that gets you out of a lot of jams. His last 3 starts, 31 Ks and 16 innings pitched. And he had 1 start against the Yankees this year at home, 7 2/3 innings, no runs, 3 hits, walked only 1, and a 7-0 win. And the Phillies, 5-1 in their last 6, Doug. They're only 2 games out of first place. Who would have thought? I'm going to take the Philadelphia Phillies minus the 115 at the New York Yankees on Tuesday evening. And Doug Upstone, you're on Cincinnati minus 140, Philadelphia minus 115. Those are our 2 picks for Monday night. If I recall right, we were off last week because of the All-Star break, but the week before that, I think we went 2-0. If I'm not mistaken.
I don't remember. I'm thinking maybe I might have missed mine, but I'm not really sure, but yeah, let's put it this way. We've been pretty good.
Yeah, not bad at all. So, and again, you could find Doug at Doc Sports, where he's making an absolute killing in Major League Baseball. You can find me at my website, rbwins.com. I currently rank number 6 in the NBA, as reported by Sports Capping. That's for the entire season. Number 11 in Major League Baseball. Folks, my 10-star top plays in Major League Baseball. I don't give one out every day, but when I do, pay attention. I'm 21-8 with those plays this year, 7-1 with my last 8, and ranked number 11 in Major League Baseball. So you got 2 guys right here you should listen to beyond just what we're telling you on these free picks. Hopefully you're a smarter sports bettor today than you were yesterday after listening to both of us. Doug, any final thoughts before we leave?
Yeah, just wanted to say I like your pick, and you made the astute point earlier, and it's relatable. You mentioned about sometimes the odds makers tell you what to pick, okay, or give you a direction. Well, Philadelphia as a road favorite at Yankee Stadium, I don't know how much more obvious you can be. Doesn't mean it's going to win, but it certainly is. It in terms of the direction is the way to think about the game. I think you're spot on, Ross.
Well, thank you. And as Ron Raymond used to say, it's an indicator. That doesn't mean you should always just bank it on that thought process, but certainly it jumps off the page at you, right, Doug? And
For
then
sure.
you want follow-up data that supports that initial indicator. So anyway, for Doug Upstone, Doug, always a pleasure, man. Great working with you again. For my buddy Doug Upstone and Ross Benjamin, we'd like to wish each and every one of you all the very best. Good luck and God bless, folks.